We'll start with the prayers. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Today we are going to study the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita with the title Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga. Vidya means royal knowledge. Raja Guhya means royal secret. This knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is called a secret because it is not perceived by the sense organs. Just a quick recap what we have done up to chapter 7 and 8. As you know, the first 6 chapters are pertaining to the jiva, the individual me. And the next 6 chapters pertain to the teaching of the Lord. So when we look at the universe, there are only 2 things in this universe according to the Bhagavad Gita. One is me, the individual, with an individual body, mind, and then the total, which is called as Ishwara or called as Paramatma or called as the Lord. When you look at the total, it is the entire cosmos which we see, which we perceive through our sense organs. Like we perceive this body, we also perceive the entire cosmos. When it is taken from the point of view of the entire cosmos, we call it the Lord. When it is taken from the point of view of a body, individual body, we call it the jiva. Jiva and Ishwara. We learned in the first 6 chapters that the jiva contains 2 aspects. One is the indweller dehi, which is the consciousness awareness principle. And the second aspect of the jiva is the material body and material mind. Similarly, Ishwara, the Lord, is also has 2 components. The material body, which in the 7th chapter was called as apara vidya. The nature is called as apara, material nature. Then there is a pure consciousness awareness principle in the Lord also, that is called as paravidya. Like dehi and deha, the indweller and the body. Similarly, the indwelling spirit is called as paravidya, and the knowledge of the matter principle is the entire universe, which is the matter. And then in the 13th chapter, we are going to just drop the material nature and say that the Lord alone is in this universe. That is how the progress of the Bhagavad Gita is. Lord means the consciousness nature of the jiva is the same as the consciousness awareness principle of the Lord. In this universe, that consciousness principle alone exists. And what about the matter, body and mind which we see? According to the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, the matter principle is an appearance. It is just a phenomena which happens, but what really exists is this pure awareness consciousness principle. This is in a nutshell what the entire Bhagavad Gita is all teaching. This is the same teaching of the Upanishads. Now let us dive into the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter, I am going to do it in the same way as the 8th chapter. I will be going verse by verse. The reason is this chapter is slightly technical by nature. When I say technical, it means that we need to understand this chapter well so that we can get a proper vision of this world. Because ultimately there is no change, physical change in us. When we go through the spiritual study, what really happens is there is a change in the thinking pattern in our mind. And this change is a very cognitive process. It is the change in our mind thinking about who we are and what is this entire universe all about. So the ninth chapter consists of 6 topics, as you can see in the chart here. The first topic is an introduction to the knowledge itself of this spiritual study. What is the spiritual knowledge, and what is its glory, and who is the person who can get this knowledge? That is explained in verse 1 to 3. Then the second topic is about the nature of God. This is the essence of this entire chapter. Verse number 4 to 10 is the most important portion of this chapter. What is the nature of the Lord? This is the same type of information or a data we get about the jiva in the second chapter from verse number 12 to 25. Whatever is talked there about the pure awareness consciousness principle, very similar is the teaching about the Lord, also about his higher nature between verses 4 to 10. Then the third topic is, why do I feel a bondage? Why do I feel a limited sense? That is explained in verse 11, and then it's expanded in verses 12 to 19 of the different types of views about the Lord. Does Lord really exist? If so, what are the ways in which I can meditate on the Lord? So that is explained in 12 to 19. And then Lord Krishna says, if you want to really go deeper and to know me, you should have bhakti. And what type of bhakti or devotion you should have is explained in the 5th topic from 20 to 29. And what is the glory of this bhakti? What does it do? Is explained in verses 30 to 34. So I might take 2 sessions for this 9th chapter, maybe 2 or 3 sessions, because the technical aspect, especially verse 4 and 5, are difficult verses which I need a little bit more time to explain. But that is the essence of the Lord's nature. If I understand the Lord's nature, I can understand my own nature. That is how I should view this topic. The first verse Shri Bhagavanu Vacha idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyamyana suyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase shubhat. Now here the Lord starts this chapter. You see, in some chapters, Arjuna asks a question, and that is how the chapter starts. There are a few chapters like that, chapter 3 and 4, 5. Those are all chapters where Arjuna asks a question. Here, the Lord himself starts the chapter and he says, I will teach you the secret of the spiritual knowledge. And what is the advantage of this? The advantage is that you will get mukti. Mukti means freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from identification with the body and mind as my original nature. So this is an inspiration and an enthusiasm which is created by the Lord. And the Shastra, the scriptural study, is the instrument used to give us this spiritual knowledge. Like what? Through the eyes, we see the form and color outside. Through the ears, we come to know the different sounds. Now, these are called as material knowledge. Whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we touch, whatever we smell, whatever we taste, the 5 sense organs, the knowledge coming from those 5 sense organs are objective knowledge, material knowledge. But the one who is knowing this is the spiritual principle. The knowing, I know my body. How do I know? Because I am the spiritual principle. I am the pure awareness principle. Without this pure awareness principle, which is the substratum of this entire universe, what Bhagavad Gita clearly says is there is no world at all without the awareness principle. So chapter 7 and 9 are very much linked to each other. And in these 2 chapters, the Lord explains to us by knowing the nature of the Lord, we will be free. And that freedom is called as Sadhyo Mukti. Sadhyo Mukti means freedom here and now. In the last chapter, in the 8th chapter, we saw Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti means what? Freedom not here, but I just do meditation here, and then later on I get freedom after I leave the body. That is explained by Omkara Upasana, which we did last week. Now, a secret is a secret because it is not known to all. And any experience is called as Vijnanam. The knowledge, if I come to know, then that knowledge is called as Vijnana. Now, what is the inauspiciousness which is carried by us? There are 3 things. First, inauspiciousness which all jivas have is ignorance. Spiritual ignorance. We are not talking about ignorance about outside world. That we all have. We all know what the world is around us. But we don't know who is seeing this world. So that is called as spiritual ignorance. The second is, because of this ignorance, we have a sense of limitation or a sense of finiteness. Finiteness means I feel that I am only limited to this body. I feel I am only limited to this mind. I cannot go beyond this because I don't know the spirit, I don't know the spiritual Atma which exists beyond this body and mind. Because of the second reason of limitation, we all become individuals. That means I become an individual doer of action, individual enjoyer of action. And when I become this individual doer and enjoyer, I am called as ahamkara. Throughout my life, I lead a life of I am a doer, I am an enjoyer. And then again, I continue the cycle of rebirth. Again, I take a birth in another body, and again I start because of this spiritual ignorance and limitation in the mind for a jiva. And what is moksha or freedom? It is a liberation from these three inauspiciousness. And the definition of moksha was given in the 7th chapter. It is also going to be given in this chapter in the 2nd verse, the next verse which we are going to do. In the 7th chapter, the Lord said, freedom means parama ananda prapti, absolute happiness, fulfillment in life. That is called as freedom. And in this chapter, the 2nd verse, it's going to say atyantaka dukkha nivarti. Complete cessation of sorrow is freedom. So cessation of sorrow is a negative language. Parama ananda prapti is a positive language. These are the two ways in which the Lord explains what is moksha or freedom. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vyakshama sheshataha yajñatvaneha bhuyonyate jñatamamavi shishyate. This was said in the 2nd verse of the 7th chapter. So in the 7th chapter, the Lord said that I will explain to you this knowledge by which you will get realization of my nature. And what did he say there? He said, I have two aspects about myself. One is the consciousness principle called as paravidya, and the aparavidya means the matter principle. The matter principle is the entire universe which you see before you. And behind this universe, there is a consciousness which is hidden. That is a secret which I am going to reveal now, the Lord says in the 2nd verse of this chapter. Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. It is a very easy thing. Susukam means it's very, very easy to understand. I will make it simple, the Lord says. And he says it is a secret. I will explain more about this when I go to the next verse. So Atmanyanam is a secret. It is with experience, and it's free of all suffering. And why is it called as Raja Vidya? Royal science. It's called a royal science because of two reasons. One, because it is the king of all the knowledge. It is a subjective knowledge. Therefore, it is the king of all knowledges. And also, second reason is the kings in the past have benefited from this knowledge. Janaka, who was ruling India, he got Jivan Mukti and he ruled his kingdom. So anybody who gets this knowledge correctly, right knowledge is important. And each one of us, if you are able to get this knowledge clearly, as explained in the Gita, that we are a conscious principle in which the entire experiences are coming and going. then we will also be free from our identification with the body and mind, and we'll be free. Supreme knowledge, because as I said, other knowledge which is of are all of objective in nature. For example, if you know gold, gold is the subject, is like the subject. It's from which you can create bangles, you can create rings, you can create chains, you can create so many things. So everything else is name and form, but everything is only one gold. So similarly, the entire universe consists of my body and all the bodies in the world, all the minds in the world, the entire objective world, which is non-moving, moving, or everything is all under one consciousness principle. If I know that consciousness correctly, clearly, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, as explained in the Upanishad, and if I can own up that consciousness as my real nature, then I am free. And it's a secret because it is not known. You will never know this by yourself. It has to be taught. And there is a methodology. There are certain books available. There are different levels of books which are available. It is a graded knowledge. Step by step, we have to learn this. Like we started with the Tattva Bodha, then we went to Atma Bodha, then we did Digdrishya Viveka. Then now we are entering into Bhagavad Gita. After Bhagavad Gita, we go to Upanishads. After Upanishads, we study the Brahma Sutra. It's a graded, like how you do from kindergarten to do a PhD. Similarly, in spiritual knowledge also, it is a step-by-step continuous study till this knowledge becomes my own real conviction. The purity and nobility of the mind is required to reveal this knowledge. Therefore, in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, we were taught Karma Yoga, how to purify all our actions by thinking that it is not me who is doing this action, it is I am doing this with this body is doing it as it is a form of nature, Prakriti. The 4th aspect of this Vidya Raja Guhyam is said to be Pavitram. Pavitram means it's pure knowledge in which there is nothing else except itself. That is the nature of pure awareness. So, what is this pure consciousness? Ultimately, it alone exists. That is the highest reality. That is the nature of the Lord. That is how this creation is. What we see through our 5 sense organs is not the real nature of this universe. There is another aspect which is the pure side of this universe, which our eyes cannot see, but it exists. And that is what we call it as the Lord's higher nature or my own higher nature. And it is pure. Purity is there because in it there is nothing else. It cannot have anything other than itself. Knowing that, I become free. And the sense of I which I have, that is what is called as impurity in the mind. So the impurity which is called as the I notion has to be dropped, and I have to claim that pure consciousness as my real nature. This is the exercise we are all doing. We need to drop the ego I and wake up to the Sakshi awareness principle. So knowing the Lord with this awareness principle, the individuality in us ceases. In Ashtavakra Gita, King Janaka, who was a royal king, ruled so many kingdoms, and he says, With a heavy mind of, with the anatma jnanam, that alone is the cause of samsara. That means if my mind is full of only objective knowledge, that knowledge is called as impure knowledge, and that mind is called as impure mind. I don't have an iota of the spiritual knowledge. So we all start like that, because we don't know who we are, we don't know the consciousness principle, we don't know what is the nature of myself or the whole creation. So he says very clearly, with a heavy mind you can never get freedom. We need to lighten up the mind with the knowledge of Atma. Then what happens? This knowledge lights up the real entity behind the mind, like Karpuram, like camphor. This knowledge, what happens is, it is a lighting principle of that pure consciousness principle. Suddenly you will find, oh my God, this is what the Bhagavad Gita was teaching me. And what happens is, initially when you first time listen to this, like me, I would say for sure, I never understood what is this consciousness principle. But as I kept on listening again in different forms, in different texts, in different Upanishads, in different other texts, slowly this consciousness principle becomes more and more evident to me. When it starts becoming evident, then we can say I have a light mind. And a lighter mind is something which I can drop. I can drop it and say, this is not me. This is just a nature. If I am affected by the desires, by the anger, by the jealousy, this is natural. It is a form of nature. But I am a witness to this mind. I am that higher principle, the consciousness. Therefore, I am ever free. That is how this knowledge is called as a purifier. It purifies me, purifies the mind. Pavitram is a very beautiful word in Sanskrit. One can really go very deep into this word itself, because ultimately it reveals consciousness. Avyayam. Avyayam means it doesn't have any decay. This knowledge, the subjective knowledge, has no decay. I may be young, I may be old, I may be a student, 18, 20 years old, I may be 40 years old, I may be 70 years old. But once I have this knowledge, I am that pure consciousness. If it remains clear to me, I will never lose it. Neither in this birth, neither in the birth, any future births, if at all the body takes, I would not be attached to the body as me. Our normal identification of for doing the actions will continue. But in our intellect, there will be a clear knowledge. I am the pure consciousness, and the body and the mind are appearing and disappearing, appearing in waking state, disappearing in the sleep state. But I am the ever free consciousness, awareness, witness principle. So if you get this knowledge, it's a gain. If you don't get this knowledge, it's a big loss in life. That is what the Lord explains in the next verse. Ashratta dhana purushaha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. So in short, what the Lord says is, without faith, there will be no conviction. Without faith in what? Faith in the scriptures. You should have complete faith that there is this subjective knowledge which has been given by a valid source. I must believe that the source is valid. Then only I will have conviction. And then I will try to understand what is this? What is this consciousness? What is this consciousness? Because it is coming from some valid source. It is not written by, this knowledge is not, it is being communicated by people, but the knowledge has come from a higher principle. Because nobody else can say or give this knowledge except the Lord himself, who is the creator of this universe. So in the Vedas, it is believed that this knowledge is a knowledge of the creator himself. The creator is talking to us today. We are all the products of nature, of the 5 elements. Our body survives because of the 5 elements. If we don't breathe, our body cannot survive also. So, but what is behind the body, which is making this body alive and functioning, is this ultimate pure consciousness. It alone is, in its presence, everything is going on. So a person remains in samsara, remains in sorrow, and he will keep on taking birth after birth. Transmigration will take place if we don't have this knowledge. That is what is the essence of the 3rd verse. So it's an encouragement given, an inspiration was given in the first 2 verses, saying that it is a pavitram, it's a royal secret. Come on, learn this knowledge. Now here he says, the Lord says, if you don't get this knowledge, you will miss things in life. You may have earned money, you may have earned a little bit of happiness in life, but you would never have fulfilled your life. Atmanyanam removes the individual ego. Therefore, it is said to be pavitram. There is no other knowledge which can remove the ego. Remove the ego means what? Make it insignificant. In the light of the knowledge of Atma, the I which is there attached to this body becomes weak. And why we are not able to realize this today? Because we have ignorance about ourselves, about this Atma. This ignorance leads to complications in the mind. It leads to delusion of the mind, which I'll explain later. So next verse, 4 and 5. Now these 2 verses are the central theme of this entire chapter. Not only this entire chapter, I would say it is the central theme of the entire Bhagavad Gita. It is a very, very subtle principle which we must understand clearly. It is an abstract principle, but it can be understood. The intellect has to be used, and if you're listening to these 2 verses for the first time, don't be embarrassed if you don't understand these 2 verses, but keep on listening to the Bhagavad Gita. Come back to these 2 verses at the end of the Gita again. At that time, you will find, oh my God, now I understand what these 2 verses mean. What does this verse say? Verse number 4 and 5, they are interlinked. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadav daktamurtinaha mastani sarva bhutani nachaham teshva vastitaha. All this world is pervaded by me. This is what the Lord, it is like the consciousness talking to us. This pure consciousness is talking to us. And what does it say? I pervade this entire universe. That's the first message. What is the second message? In my unmanifest form. That means you and I, we will not be able to see this, hear this, touch this, feel this, or think about it also. So the second lesson is what? It is unmanifest. Eyes cannot perceive, mind cannot think, intellect cannot understand. That is the second aspect of this pure awareness. Done. What is the third lesson? All beings exist in me. That means the mind and the body are nothing but they depend on me for their existence. I'm just going through the verse meaning only. I will give you a detailed meaning of this in the other slides. There's going to be a long slide. Probably we'll just do this verse, 2 verses today. So the third lesson is what? All the beings, they are coming from me, the pure awareness. They rest in me while they are acting in the world, and they resolve into me, the pure awareness, consciousness, when they resolve in sleep. Third lesson. The last lesson of this verse, but I do not dwell in them. What the consciousness is telling us is, I can independently exist without the jiva, without the body and mind. There are millions of body and minds existing in me, the pure awareness, but they are dependent on me. I am not dependent on them. So these are the 4 lessons we should learn. It is coming to us. It is being told to us. This is a song of the Lord. The Lord, Bhagavad Gita is the song of the Lord. The Lord has got 2 forms. One, what we see as the universe, and the one which is not seen is what is trying to teach us about that aspect of the Lord. Drishyam, so these are the 4 lessons in this verse. In the next verse, you will find a complete reverse of what we are learning in this verse. But that is the way the teaching is. That is the way the intellect gets stunned by this knowledge. And then the intellect gets dropped. When the intellect gets dropped, you realize yourself as pure awareness. So after you go through these 2 verses, go through them at your free time. These notes which are there are just an aid to understand, but the real understanding is in your own intellect. You have to munch this, reflect on these verses, let that go, let it go into your subconscious mind. When it goes into your subconscious mind, you will realize the true nature of the message which is given by that pure awareness principle. Drishyam means the world. In Sanskrit, it means, it said, idam sarvam. Idam sarvam yadayam atma. That means this whole universe which we see and experience is nothing else but this pure consciousness. So drishyam and drik. Drik is the consciousness. Drishyam is the seen, objective world. Gross experience of the 5 elements. That means that water I drink, the air I breathe, the earth I can see, I can smell. These are the gross 5 elements. The breeze which I can feel through my skin, the fragrance which I can smell. These are all the gross 5 elements. And we must know that through the Tattva Bodha knowledge, what happens is these gross elements are nothing but it is the cause for the five elements. Gross elements is the tanmatras. Tanmatras means the subtle elements which existed before the grossification process, as explained in Tattva Bodha. The subtle five elements are the cause, the gross elements are the effect. The gross elements, they create the external body which we can perceive. The subtle elements create the mind. They create the subtle air, the space, which eyes cannot perceive, but they exist. We cannot see space, but it exists. Similarly, the mind cannot be seen, but it exists. The subtle body is the cause for the gross body. And then beyond the subtle body, as explained in the Tattva Bodha, there is a causal realm, which is what we experience in our sleep state as the causal body. And that causal body is called as ajnanam, ignorance. All of us in sleep, whether we sleep in the afternoon today or we sleep in the night today, anytime we are sleeping, we are with our own nature, which is ignorance. Beyond that ignorance is this consciousness. Experience, witness consciousness of this ignorance, that is what is called as the pure awareness principle. That means gross body, subtle body, causal body. What does Tattva Bodha says? Tattva Bodha says Atma is beyond the gross, subtle and causal bodies. It is beyond the prapancha, that means the gross world, subtle world and the causal world. All three together we call it as the world, jagat. In Sanskrit, jagat means jayate. The root of jagat, jagat is jayate. Ja dhatu. Ja dhatu means jayate, born. It is born, created, or you can say it manifests. Tishtati, remains for some time. Mriyate, it goes into unmanifest condition. So what comes into manifest form, what remains for some time for us in the waking state to experience, again it goes back to unmanifest form. That is what is called as the world. Very beautiful definition of the universe. Jagat jayate tishtati mriyate iti jagat. When I say negation means resolution, resolution means it is just negation of the world intellectually. But what happens is there is a witness consciousness principle which is observing this whole phenomena in each one of us. That is called as the awareness principle. So entire realm is pervaded by that consciousness principle, which is called as the Lord. In Taittiriya Upanishad, this consciousness principle is called as Sat Chit Ananda. This awareness is given three names. It is called as Sat, means existing. It exists. It never goes out of existence. It is always there. Chit means it is always conscious. So what is my nature? Real nature is I am always a conscious person. I am consciousness. That is the noun. body has consciousness. It is an adjective, but consciousness is the reality. It's a principle. It is something, we call it a higher entity. It is called as the self, because it is not, we can't call it, it's not an object of perception, it is a subject. Okay, Mastani Sarva Bhutani, that is the first portion. I'm going to split this entire 4 parts of the verse, and I'm going to dwell deeper and deeper, so that, because when you just listen to the word meaning, you won't get the essence behind these words. If you go a little bit deeper and deeper, and then you first understand it when I'm talking here, and then you reflect on it yourself. Just for 5 minutes, just try to again read these notes, again try to understand in your mind, again read this, because these 2 verses are the crux of who we are. That awareness principle is talking to us through these verses. So that pure consciousness pervades the entire world in an unmanifest form. Unmanifest means the sense organs are not able to perceive it. It exists, but my instruments in this body cannot understand it, cannot perceive it. And what is the nature of that pure awareness? It is the adhishthanam. Adhishthanam means it is the support. It is the substratum. This pure, it's called as pure consciousness. And what is the world? World is superimposed. Superimposed means what? Like a rope snake is superimposed on a rope. I see a rope, but I don't know that it is a rope. Therefore, I think it is a snake. So similarly, this world is nothing else but pure consciousness. I don't know that pure consciousness. I think it is a body, it is my mind. That is called as superimposition. And whenever we say superimposition, basically we are referring to that ignorance principle which doesn't know the Atma. That Karana Shariram level, at that level only we talk about this Adhishtanam and Adhyastha. When it comes to the subtle body and the gross body and the subtle world and the gross world, then what we say is that ignorance is the cause, and the subtle body and the subtle gross body are the effects. This is slightly more technical. It is said in the advanced texts of Vedanta. In a very simple form, to understand what is the substratum, we say that this desert sand is the substratum, and I don't see the sand properly, I see a mirage water. Similarly, the waker, in the ignorance of the waker, dreamer is born. When I don't see the TV screen, in the ignorance of the TV screen, I'm able to watch the movie. Similarly, in the ignorance of consciousness, I get attached to thoughts as I. Exactly like the rope snake and thoughts, they are very similar. In the ignorance of the rope, I take it to be a rope snake. I take it as a snake. In the ignorance of consciousness, I think that the thoughts, which are the products of nature, I think that that is me. Therefore, the Lord says the world is in me means that without this pure consciousness, the knowing principle, there is no world. You cannot say the world exists. Suppose you don't know the world. Suppose, for example, all your five sense organs are not working. What will you say? Will you say the world exists? You will say, no, there is no world. But are you there or not? Yes, I am still there because I am conscious. I am conscious. I am existent. That is what is called as the pure nature. It is not manifest to the sense organs, and it is cannot be thought by the mind or intellect, but it exists. By sat, what we mean is isness. The world is, the chair is. That isness is lent by me, the consciousness principle. I lend the isness. When does this happen? Whenever the mind wakes up in the morning, I am the one which lends the isness to the mind first. That is called as the powering the mind. And when the mind is powered up, it gives that strength to the sense organs to perceive the world. In ignorance, sleep state, Satchidananda is in unmanifest form. This consciousness is there, but it is unmanifest. Unmanifest, as I explained again and again, is it is not perceived. It exists, but it is not perceived. Echaiva satvika bhavaha rajasastamas saschaye mattha eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mayi. In the 12th verse of the 7th chapter, the same principle was explained. Of course, we don't remember that because we have forgotten it, 7th chapter was done 4 weeks ago. So, whatever beings and objects are there that are pure, active, inert, know them to proceed from me. That means the same awareness principle was talking to us in that verse. What it says is, this entire inert objective world and the beings, the sentient beings, they're all coming from me, the consciousness. See, whenever I tell you that in the morning when we wake up, we are coming from that consciousness into this body. And when I tell you that when you go to sleep, you again rest in that consciousness. What does it mean? That means the mind becomes unmanifest and I am there with my own nature. Again in the morning, what happens? Again from that pure consciousness, I come back to this body and again I start playing in the world. Doing my different actions, doing my duty. Again I go back to sleep. Again I go back to my own nature of pure awareness. This is how we have to understand these verses. It is that pure awareness which is teaching us the nature to me, because it is telling me I am that. I am that awareness consciousness principle. The three statements which we have gone through is, I pervade the entire world as Satchit Ananda in unmanifest form. That is the first statement. I pervade the entire world. How? As consciousness, as existence. And how is this consciousness and existence? Can the sense organs see it? No. That is why it is called as unmanifest form. And what is the second statement? World is in me. Why do we say that? Because I am the substratum. Here I means the consciousness principle. And what is the third statement? I am not in the world. Why do I say this? Because I, as the pure consciousness, can exist by myself. That is the nature of consciousness. That is the nature of awareness. It can exist. And what is the proof? Bhagavad Gita is the only proof for this. Upanishads are the only proof for the consciousness awareness principle. There is no other proof. Science cannot prove consciousness. The pramanam for this is the Bhagavad Gita, these verses. Pramanam means the source for knowledge. Who is teaching me this? Who am I? It is this Bhagavad Gita which is the source. And what is the source of Bhagavad Gita? It is the Upanishads, which we will study. But before we study the Upanishads, we are studying the Bhagavad Gita because it makes the same Upanishads very easy for me to understand. Our thoughts also have 6 modifications. They rise, they exist for a certain time, they grow, they decay, they perish. Like our thoughts, in the subtle universe, similarly in the gross universe, they manifest, they exist, and they go to unmanifest form. One of the beautiful ways in which we can control our mind is through this lesson which is there in this 2 verses. I am that Sakshi. We have to own up that in our meditation. I am that pure awareness. I am revealing the thoughts which are coming in my mind. They manifest in me, which means that they exist in pure consciousness. They exist for a short time. They are sustained by consciousness and they resolve into the same consciousness. So in meditation, this is a beautiful exercise. This one line which I have said, I reveal the thoughts, they manifest me, but I am not in them. And we can just say pass. Pass means what? Let the thoughts pass. I am not bothered. This particular verse can be used in meditation, and we can use it and tell ourselves, I am the pure consciousness. This is a deliberate exercise in meditation using this verse. I only say I am that pure consciousness. The thoughts exist in me, they are sustained by me, and they resolve into me. Again, a new thought comes, sustained. I am the one, I am the substratum in which the thoughts are coming and going. I am called as the adhishtanam, and the thoughts are nothing else. They are just superimposed on me. The best way to control our mind in meditation is by the analysis of this beautiful verse. The thoughts are in me, but I am not in the thoughts. I am the pure consciousness. I exist by myself. So I can order my thoughts to just let go. Give it a try. You will find the truth. You can also let your thoughts pass. Just say pass. It will go away. Again, the thoughts come. They disturb you. You again remind yourself and just say pass. It's a technique of meditation using this verse. Very practical application of this verse is in meditation. So the waker is the adhishtanam, the substratum for what? For the dreamer. Who is dreaming? It is the waker's mind which is dreaming. It is the waker's mind which has picked up some knowledge of the working world, and then it is rethrowing that, replaying those thoughts again in the dream. So the thoughts are nothing but they are only superimposed on what? On the waker's mind. And what is causing this? It is the Nidra Shakti. Nidra means our sleep, which is there in the, which is a part of the Prakriti, which is a part of the 5 elements. It has got the power to go to sleep. The 5 elements, they have a power to go to sleep. They have a power to wake up. That is the nature of the mind. Manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest, which is called as Prakriti nature. And what is not Prakriti is Atma. Pure consciousness always exists, always there, immortal, pure, awareness principle. Never dies, it is always there. Knowing this as me, the consciousness, I can be liberated. I am ever immortal, eternal. These are all the words given by the Upanishads to describe that pure awareness. So gold is like the adhishtanam, the substratum. I'm trying to explain this verse deeper because this knowledge has to go deep into the subconscious mind. Ornaments are only name and form. What is a chain? What is a bangle? It's a name of what? Of gold. Similarly, you, me, everybody is only a name of what? Of the same consciousness. And what is the whole world? World is also a name and a form of what? Of the same consciousness, awareness. So world, when is in me, when the pure awareness is teaching us that the world is in me, means I am the substratum. And if I own up that consciousness as me, my real nature, what will happen? I can also say, I am not in the world. I am not affected by the turbulences of the world. World will come, world will go. How? Because of the 5 elements, because it is the nature of it to manifest, unmanifest. This is how, that is what we call it as a phenomena. I pervade all, maya tathabidam sarvam. This is the Sanskrit version of I pervade all. All is in me, mastani sarva bhutani. I am not in them, nacha aham teshu avastitaha. These are the Sanskrit descriptions of the 3 sentences which is being explained in the 4th verse. Let's go to the next verse. Now, it is the same consciousness trying to explain to, it is said by the same pure awareness. We have to assume or imagine that it is that awareness principle which is teaching us these sentences of the scriptures. Nacha mastani bhutani pashyame yogam Ishwaram bhuta bharna cha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. What does it mean? Again, let's look at the different parts of this verse. Here it says, the pure consciousness, awareness is telling us the beings in reality exist in me. My divine yoga supporting, the second aspect is I support all the beings. I support all the beings. The beings are in me. And the third statement is I am not dwelling in them. That means I can remain as pure consciousness, awareness principle as we all experience in our sleep state. What happens is the mind has gone to sleep, but I, the pure consciousness, which is my real nature, is always there. It is always not, it is never, it doesn't sleep. The sleep belongs to the mind. But the pure awareness is always existing. That is why we use the word existence for it. We use the word consciousness for it, and we use the word ananda, which means bliss. Why is it called bliss or ananda? Because there is no sorrow in it. Why there is no sorrow? Because there is no mind. Wherever there is mind, there will be sorrow. Wherever there is no mind, if the mind goes to unmanifest condition in sleep, or it goes to unmanifest condition in death, it is the mind which has got the sorrow, but I, the consciousness, do not have any sorrow at any time. But this I stands for what? Sat Chit Ananda. And that Sat Chit Ananda is called as the efficient cause of all beings, intelligent principle. Behind the mind, it is this consciousness which is working. It is like the electricity behind the bulb. It is like the petrol behind the car moving. You see the car moving, but you can't see the petrol which is working behind, unmanifest form. All objects and beings, this is the fourth statement, all objects and beings are not in me. Nachamastani bhutani. The first part, the first line of this sentence, of this verse. And this reflects the Lord's glory. In the first, we saw the three steps. In this verse, we are seeing the fourth part of the teaching. And here, Nachamastani bhutani means the Lord, the pure consciousness can exist by itself. See, in order to have the experience of that consciousness, we don't have to do anything. We just have to only drop our notion that I am the body, I am the mind, which has got the three states. What is being described here is how to drop those three bodies and how to realize I am that pure consciousness. All spiritual study is only to say neti neti. I am not this, I am not the body, I am not the mind, but who I am Satchid Ananda. Satchid Ananda is self-evident. It is pure consciousness. When I don't have any thoughts in my waking state itself, who am I? I am that pure consciousness. In waking state, it is a deliberate exercise of throwing away the thoughts by yoga, which is called as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. The same thing happens in sleep in a natural form. So you don't have to practice samadhi and all that if you understand the verse 4 and 5 of the Bhagavad Gita. This understanding itself will give you that knowledge which you will get from yoga samadhi. Here we take the example of a rope snake, and we try to understand the four statements. In our example, a rope, I am not able to see clearly because it's evening time. The sunlight is not very bright. I see something on the floor. It's dark. And I take that rope as snake. So similarly, in our waking state, we don't know our Atma. What we see is our body and mind and then we take this as our nature. We make an error. Now, that rope can say easily, I pervade the snake. That means without me, that means without the rope, there would not have been a snake. So first statement is clear. I pervade the snake. Snake is in the rope. That means from the snake's point of view, it exists in the rope. From the body and mind point of view, it exists in the consciousness. Rope is not in the snake. From consciousness point of view, it is not in the body and mind because it can exist by itself. Therefore, consciousness or the snake can say, snake is not in the rope. These are the four statements. This is just an example, okay? But the real thing is, we have to keep in mind the way the consciousness is teaching us. I pervade the world as Satchidananda in the unmanifest form. The world is in me because there is no world without this consciousness. You may say that the world exists for people in America. I am in Singapore. I am sleeping. How does the world exist? But it exists for those people who are there in America who are conscious. And they have a conscious mind. But in consciousness, that is the ultimate substratum. The knowingness in this body is what is the substratum. I am not in the world, unaffected by the world. That means here the consciousness is telling, I am never affected by the world. I am untouched by the world. Why? Because I can exist by myself. As in sleep, I know I exist. World is different realm. It is a vyavaharika level. It is a manifested world. It has got modifications. It is only nature of 5 elements, which is this world. Actually, world is nothing else but the 5 elements in different forms. And they are modifying, constantly modifying. Changes happening throughout 24 hours of the day. Every second there is a modification in the Prakriti. In the world of matter, it is always changing. Our thoughts are changing, our body is changing, every atom in the body is changing, rapidly changing. You look outside, everything is also, it's all cells. In the cells, there is an atom. I mean, you go to atomic physics, quantum physics, like Shama was talking last week, it turns, science tells us that everything can be ultimately brought to the level of energy, atoms, electrons, proton, and so on. But what is behind that is what Vedanta is trying to teach us. I gave the examples of desert and mirage water for explaining to you the superimposition and what is the substratum. World is in me, I am the substratum, I am not in the world, I am not affected by the turbulences in the world. I pervade all is in me, I am not in them. Okay. So this is how we understand the rope snake. There's actually no snake. Rope alone is, consciousness alone is. The Lord's nature is, Lord pervades the whole world, and in Sanskrit we call it as adhyaropa. Superimposition is another word. Superimposition in Sanskrit is called as adhyaropa. Universe is in the Lord. Universe is of a lower order of reality. Consciousness is of a higher order of reality. And the third statement is what? Lord is not in the universe. Universe is false. It's mithya. It's a projection on the Lord, on the pure consciousness. So what is the consciousness? It is an absolute entity. That is why we call it as reality. It is not matter. It is pure consciousness. And when we negate the world after knowing the consciousness, that is called as apavada. This is a process by which we negate the world and own up that pure consciousness. So ultimately, what is a fact? Very simple. You should only understand this statement here. Lord alone is there without the jiva, jagat, Ishwara. There is only one consciousness which exists beyond our perception of sense organs. That is called as awareness or Brahman. Bhagavan alone is, creation is due to the projecting power of the Lord, which is called as the Vikshepa Shakti. We have seen this in Tattva Bodha. There are two powers which exist in that pure awareness principle. Lord alone knows his nature. The two Shaktis, the two powers are called as Avarna Shakti, which means the wheeling power, and the projecting power, which is the Vikshepa Shakti. Again, this is Tattva Bodha. If you have not done Tattva Bodha, you won't understand what is these two powers. Jiva removes his avarnam. That means I, by knowing my nature, to know my nature, I have to remove the covering of ignorance to know my real nature of Atma, of pure consciousness. Once we remove this cover, then we can own up that our nature is the same as the nature of the Lord. The two powers of the jiva, see, a jiva has got both the powers, whereas the Lord, Ishwara, has only the projecting power. That means the totality which we see in the outside world, Ishwara doesn't have any wheeling power. That means he knows his nature. He is only creating the universe, sustaining and resolving for us, for the jivas. But we have got an extra ordinary power, which is the wheeling power. That means in sleep, I think that I am not there. That is what is called as the wheeling power. But actually I am there. I am there as what? As consciousness. And that knowledge is coming from where? Bhagavad Gita. Once I have that knowledge, what happens? I can take this body and mind, or whatever it is doing in the waking state, I can take it as a lower order of reality. So after jnanam, after knowledge, what happens? It's only mithya which is projecting. This mind is nothing else but mithya. It's a power of the nature, a power of the Lord. I can also own up that I am this pure consciousness. This was said in the Brahma Jnana Valli, which some of you have done along with me in the Wednesday class. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. That means what? This pure consciousness is the reality. The world, Jagan, is Mithya. Mithya means what? Appearance. It is not non-existent, but it is an appearance. And who am I? I am that pure consciousness principle. In ignorance, jiva says that I am the mind, or I am the body, and we say we experience the world. But in knowledge, what happens is, given in these 6 points here, in ignorance, we give importance to the body and mind, or to the wave, not to the ocean. We give importance to name and form, but not to reality. We give importance to the ring, bangle, or chain, and which are all adhyasa, superimpositions. We give importance to the inert body, intellect. My thoughts, we think we are very great because our thoughts are brilliant. But that is again mithya. It is only a passing thoughts. The whole world is an appearance on me, which is the pure consciousness. And when I have the knowledge, what do I claim? I say the truth is only water, not the wave or ocean. I say the jiva bhava, that means the ahamkara bhava, is only a status in waking, which I had before in ignorance, but now I know I am that pure awareness. I can claim that is the truth. Now I have the gold vision. I have the adhisthana vision. I am the sentient awareness behind all creations. I am the creation, I am the sentient awareness behind this body. And in the 13th chapter, the Lord is going to say, I am this sentiency in all the bodies. I use this knowledge given by the scriptures and I try to own up this pure consciousness principle. That is what is the essence of these 4th and 5th verses. It reveals to me two things. One, about the nature of the consciousness, pure awareness. Two, it reveals to me that that pure awareness can exist by itself without the body, mind, which are matter principles, which is what I experience in my sleep state. But I don't know that that is the truth. I'm not talking the ignorance of the sleep state. That ignorance is veiled, that I'm dropping it. And I'm trying to claim, who am I behind this ignorance? Nachamastani bhutani pashyame yoga Ishwaram. Pashyame yoga Ishwaram means what? Know my nature as this higher nature. I can exist by myself. Nachamastani bhutani means I don't need to exist with the 5 elements all the time. I can exist all alone. This is our spiritual principle. If I can claim this, I am eternal. This word pashyame yoga Ishwaram is very, very important. It tells us it can exist independently, which means it exists, it's always there, eternal. And what is this finiteness, limitlessness which I am facing? It is only a thought in my mind. I am this thought. It's an attachment to the thought. The Lord is teaching me through these verses. I can remain as the consciousness principle, independently existing. And knowing this, claiming this, is what is called as freedom. These 2 verses, these 4 statements, we have gone through these. In these 2 verses, we have to understand them, apply them, as if the easiest way to understand this is you must think that pure awareness is talking to us, is trying to teach me that this is what is my nature. Why don't you also understand this is your nature and come and realize me? Come and realize your own higher nature. And when I listen to these 4 sentences, I can exist by myself. I am that consciousness. I can claim, and then it becomes a conviction in me. It's the Lord's direct words for liberation in these 2 verses. I understand. I am the Sakshi. I am liberated here and now. That is the beauty of these 2 verses. They are very profound in their meanings. I pervade the whole universe means Lord is the material cause. The universe is in me. Because as material cause, the universe cannot be other than that consciousness. I am not in them means what? That pure awareness is not touched by the material principle. Universe is not in me means I can exist all alone. I, the awareness principle, can exist. The rope snake example is the same, which you can attach to, you can understand each of this statement by the way of the rope snake example, which I have already taught in the previous verse. Only if you know Vedanta, this Adhyaropa Apavada method, there is a technique. This is a technique which is called as Adhyaropa Apavada, superimposition and negation. Superimposition is called as Adhyaropa. Negation is called as Apavada. That means I take something, that means I take the whole universe I see before me. I say that the consciousness and the existence is there in this. That is called as superimposition. Then what do I say? This consciousness, I try to understand the nature of the consciousness, that it can exist itself. Then what do? I drop the world. Then what do I say? This consciousness is independently existing. It is neither the cause of the world. It can exist all by itself. From the world standpoint, I can understand that it is a cause. But by its own standpoint, it is not a cause, but it is the substratum. That is why the relationship between consciousness and the world, there is only one relationship, and that relationship is called as adhyasa, and adhyasa means supervision, superimposition, and substratum, which is adhisthana. It's a relationless relationship, like the waker and the dreamer. Relationless. The waker can exist independently. Dreamer depends on the waker. Bhuta brit bhuta bhavanaha. Mama atmanacha bhutastaha. This is another sentence in this verse, number 5. That which nourishes is called as bhuta brit. Always the material cause nourishes and nourishes means what? It upholds the objects. Like the gold is the material cause, it is bhuta brit. It is the upadana karanam. Upadana karanam means material cause. So clay is the material cause of the pot. Similarly, pure consciousness is the material cause, is the adhishthanam for the all beings and for the entire universe. And when we say bhuta bhavana, means what? It is the intelligent cause or the nimitta karanam. In Sanskrit, intelligent cause is called as nimitta karanam. And these two, if you take a pot, material cause is the clay, intelligent cause is the potter. If you take the universe, the material cause is this Lord itself, which is the 5 elements. And what is the intelligent cause? It is the reflected consciousness. It is that reflection in the mind. That is what is called as intelligent cause. In Mundaka Upanishad, I have given this example before, like in the Mundaka Upanishad, it says like a spider creates a web from its own body, projects it, and again it resolves the web into itself. Similarly, this consciousness projects this entire material world and takes it back into itself. This consciousness. That is the higher nature. That is what is explained here in this silk example. That is the material, that is the web and the spider. This is a beautiful example which comes from the Mundaka Upanishad. When we do the Mundaka Upanishad, you will see the impact of these verses. I am the creator of the universe. Again, it is said by the pure consciousness. And I myself become this universe, like the spider. The fact is what? I am the pure Satchit Ananda. Universe of names and forms does not touch me at all. Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. I am Yoga Maheshwaram. That means it's a phenomena. I am always existing in my unmanifest form. Mama atma nacha bhutastaha. Even though I envision this world pervade the world is in me, but the fact is what? I alone am. The world is an appearance on me. This line you should remember as the ultimate sentence I should understand. And how do I understand this? I understand it as I am that pure consciousness. I alone can exist as I experience my sleep state. Whatever I experience in my waking state is an appearance, and it will disappear. Again, it will come. Again, it will disappear. This is what is called as Maya. This is what is called as appearance. Nobody can stop this coming and going of the universe. But what is behind the universe is the TV screen. The TV screen is what? Myself. I am that pure consciousness. If I can understand this through these two verses, I am understanding the Lord's nature, in totality, and it is also teaching me my own nature. I take the example of my own experience of the sleep state. In the case of the Lord, it is the pralaya. The sleep state is nothing else but when the whole creation goes into unmanifest form. And why does the Lord say, I am untouched by the creation? Creation is just an appearance. Like the snake on rope. Does the snake really exist? No, it is just a Brahma. It is a delusion in my mind. So all the world, for every jiva, for example, each one of you must have had certain thoughts throughout the day today. You must have had certain thoughts. That is, each individual through his own mind is projecting certain small world, small experience you have had, but you think it's very big for you because it is your own mind. And that witness consciousness is so close to this mind, it appears as if it is for you, it is very big experience. You feel you have really had a great experience or a bad experience, but it is only the thoughts. It is that thought projection is prakriti. It is nature. It will happen tomorrow also. You'll go to sleep today. Again, tomorrow you'll get up. Again, you'll have the experience in your own mind. But what we have to do is learn to drop this as nature and claim that whatever is illumining that experience, that light which is illumining, that light is called as consciousness. World appears, but still Lord is unaffected. That consciousness is never affected. Anything can happen. This is one of the beautiful points we should remember in life also. Let any event come and go, but I am not affected. I am not affected. These two verses, if you remember, you will never forget the nature of your own self. Jiva removes his ignorance and learns to claim his oneness with the Lord. He removes the notion that I am this mind. And then what? He owns up the same nature of the Lord. The Lord is teaching us in this verse, I am that pure consciousness. Oh Jiva, oh Arjuna, understand your nature is also this. Through Arjuna, the Lord is explaining to us. What has been explained in these two verses, the Lord explains to us with a form of an example. Because he knows that when we learn these verses, they are difficult verses to understand. He gives us an example of this consciousness and the mind, which is the jiva. Consciousness, pure consciousness. How does it exist? Yatha kasha sthito nityam. We'll do this verse and we'll close. Yatha kasha sthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani mastani tyubadharaya. He gives a beautiful example, a simple example. What? Like the space and the air is existing in space. The wind The mighty wind is existing in space. Similarly, each of our minds is nothing but like that wind. It exists in consciousness. It blows. It is projecting for a few hours during the waking state. Again, it goes. But then always that space is never affected by the winds which are coming and going. Similarly, consciousness is never affected by the mind which comes and goes, by the thoughts which come and go. The lesson is Lord is untouched because he is the substratum. Even though creation comes, rests and resolves into him. The Lord is the creator of this entire universe, sustainer of this universe, and the resolver of this universe. I am the creator of this mind, thoughts, resolution. It happens, it remains, and it goes back. I am a small jiva. I have a limited power, but the Lord is the entire creator of the whole universe. It describes the status of Brahman. Mama Atma Nacha Bhutastaha, which was there in the 5th verse, this particular sentence, how I can remain independently is explained and elaborated in this verse. In space, the Vayu moves always in space. It cannot go out of space. Wind rises, exists, and resolves in space. In all states, at all times, the wind is in space. But the space is not affected by the wind. Similarly, in Chaitanyam, in awareness principle, the thoughts, the body, the whole universe is born. It exists. It resolves. All objects and beings rise, exist, resolve into that pure consciousness awareness. That is the real nature of mind. The Lord is telling us, and he says, I am unaffected, untouched, unblemished, unsullied, immaculate, pure consciousness. Oh Arjuna, you are also the same. Because what is there in the totality, in the cosmos, in the Brahmandam, in the whole universe, it is also there in the Pindandam, in the individual. What is there in the macro is the same, is there in the micro. So with this beautiful example, the Lord is teaching the entire beautiful nature of pure consciousness. So we understand this as if that Lord, that consciousness is speaking to you and me through these 2 verses. And knowing that it is coming from that higher principle, we take it as the truth. When I accept this in me as my own real nature, I can drop my mind as an appearance. Till this conviction comes, I am that Atma, this mind will be a heavy mind. And I will not be able to drop the mind. But these 2 verses can serve as a purifier, pavitram. When I learn the knowledge behind these verses, it makes my mind pure. It removes that heaviness, and I am able to realize that consciousness which is shining in my own mind. And I can claim that consciousness as my own real nature. This is how the first 6 verses of this beautiful chapter called Vidya Raja Guhya is explained by the Lord. We'll continue next week with the 7th verse. And this is a chapter of 34 verses. I won't be going fast. I won't explain, but the most difficult verses you have already gone through today. Digest these verses, assimilate these verses. They are the essence of the Upanishads. They are the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2, chapter 7 chapter 9, these 3 chapters, plus 13, 14, 15. 6 chapters, they talk about pure awareness, pure consciousness. Again, I repeat, chapter 2, chapter 7, chapter 9, 13, 14, 15. 13, 14, 15, I will be doing verse by verse. If you understand, these are talking about the same consciousness. It is as if that pure consciousness through these verses is teaching me. That is how you and I have to take up these verses as a personal guidance to each one of us. To own up this nature, which I have never known, therefore it was guhyam, it was hidden. And having known this, having been revealed by the Bhagavad Gita, and having understood that, we can claim this, we can understand this. Understanding itself is claiming. Clear understanding. I am that pure consciousness. This whole waking state, dream state, sleep state is coming and going in that pure consciousness. This gross body, the subtle body, the causal body is all happening in that consciousness. The 5 koshas, the dresses which I wear for my activities, they're all there in coming and going in this consciousness. I am that pure consciousness, but these material nature, which is the dresses, which is the gross bodies, the waking state, all belonging to the material world, but I am the substratum. 2 things, I am the substratum, I can independently exist. If I can understand, first of all, digest it, and claim it as the truth, my truth, that is called as freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from my own mind, which I've been thinking as me. Freedom from my own gross body, which I've been thinking as me. They are only appearances for a short time. But I am that immortal consciousness. Okay, with this we close, and then I will be open for discussions, and we'll see how, if there are any questions, I can answer them. This chapter I will be doing verse by verse. You can take your own notes if you want, or you can go through the videos. Of course, the notes are all there for you to read. The beauty of these sessions is you have the notes. The notes are already with you. It's just that you have to revise them again and again. One announcement I want to make before I close is that next week on Wednesday, I'm starting a new class for Dakshinamurti Stotram. This is for the senior students. If any of you would like to listen to the meaning of Dakshinamurti Stotram, you can join, or you can just send us a note. I think we have already circulated the link for you to join the Wednesday class. You can just get the notes, or you can get the video and then listen to it whenever you are free. So that is provided here. Let me close, and then I will take the questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, there is a comment here from Surinder about these verses. If anybody have any questions, or you can raise, we'll unmute everybody so you can just ask the questions if you have any. Yeah, Chandrarekha, you want anything?
I wanted to ask you whether this Dakshin Murti Stotram I had downloaded a few weeks ago, and I had read it has some connection with the planet Graha, for Graha Guru. Does it help to appease Guru or get blessings of that Guru or something in Guru Mahadasha or something? It, I wanted to learn, but I could not get the pronunciations. It was very difficult that time for me.
Yeah, correct. You see the pronunciation and all. I'm not going to stress too much on the pronunciation and the chanting of the verses.
No, but is it related to the Guru Graha or something, like for the puja of Guru or something? It has come on the net or also that you should chant this shlok for the students and all. It is very good if you chant this shlok daily.
Yes, see this the Dakshinamurti Stotram is a very, very powerful shloka. It can remove all the papams. It can remove all the sorrows in life, because it is the Lord's teaching. So normally it has got tremendous benefits. So chanting itself gives you punyam. That is what your question is, whether it is useful to chant. Yes, it is useful. It can remove the what they call as the planets, the obstacles in the planets, which they call, but that is nothing else but our own prarabdha, which is depicted in the form of the planets appearing in certain positions. So your direct answer is yes, you can chant, you can learn, and it will give you benefit, it will give you punya. But apart from that, I am teaching here in these classes is I'm teaching the meaning of those verses. The meanings are basically Vedantic meanings. What does that Dakshinamurti trying to teach us through those verses is our own nature. The same what we are learning in Bhagavad Gita is being taught there also. It is a very, very high text. It reveals directly what the Atma, but again, it will be like this fourth and fifth verse. If you're not able to digest these verses, it doesn't matter, but you listen. It will also be in the same similar formats. You listen to them. As you listen more and more, you will understand the deeper meanings. So, but it is a very, very powerful shlokas. This is the shloka which is chanted in many of the schools which teach Vedanta. Early in the morning, they have a puja done for Dakshinamurti, and then while the puja goes on, this is chanted.
Yes, it helps to improve the memory also. This shloka helps to improve the memory, I heard, and I read about it.
Yes, it does. Okay, anybody else? Bal Shankar, you say that we say Bhagwan is the Upadana and Nimitta Karanam. Can these words be explained? Okay. See, when we say that the Lord, here we mean Lord, it means pure consciousness. Okay. In these two verses, we should understand the Lord is nothing else but the material cause and the efficient cause. Material cause means Upadana Karanam. What does it mean? For the whole world, the material cause is the 5 elements. Therefore, and that Lord is appearing as this 5 elements and as the whole universe. Because the universe is nothing. You touch any part of the universe is only 5 elements. This is what the Upanishads teach us. Therefore, it is called as upadana karanam. Upadana means material cause. Now, the second aspect is what is the nimitta karanam? Nimitta karanam means it is the intelligent cause. These five elements are not operating by themselves. There is a power behind them, which is driving, which is the controlling factor. That power is called as the intelligent principle. Like, for example, you have for a pot, you have the potter and the clay. Clay is the material cause, the potter is the intelligent cause. Similarly, the five elements are the material cause. The one which is controller of these five elements is the Ishwara, is the Bhagavan. That Bhagavan is, he's got tremendous powers. You see, you and I, we have limited powers. You can see a little bit, you can talk a little bit, you can hear a little bit, but these are very limited. But what is the difference between me and Bhagavan or me and the Lord? The Lord has got infinite capacity, infinite power. He can create the whole universe. He's got that intelligence. He's got the knowledge. He's called as omniscient, omnipotent. These are all big words, but they mean a lot. So he has got 8 Ishwarayas. You know, he has got tremendous capacities. The capacities are basically revealed to us in different suttras. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter, 2 chapters are going to be devoted to teach us where you can see the Lord's beauty in this world, where you can see the Lord expressing his glory. Vibhuti Yoga. The next chapter we are going to do is Vibhuti Yoga, which is how I can see that Lord expressing as the whole universe, how I can see his intelligence. Wherever the Lord says that wherever you see any intelligence, any beauty, anywhere in creation, you take it as it's my beauty. That's what the Lord says. Because ultimately, what really is seen by us is seen by that consciousness. That power in you and me is that power. If I am able to realize that power, then I am free. So I hope you have understood the material cause and the efficient cause. Jacqueline, you said you have a question.
Yes, Mr. Shekhar.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, just now you were saying that manifest and unmanifest.
Yes.
When we are at sleep, it is unmanifest.
Correct.
When we are awake, it is manifest.
Yes.
So does it mean that in the universe or in the universe or in not the world, the entire cosmos, the unmanifest is the dark side and the manifest is the light, or which is which?
No. Okay, you can say that. You know, to a large extent, you can say that because scientists have said that there is only a small portion they see, but there is a huge portion which is just like a black hole. That black hole is basically nothing else but the unmanifest form.
Ah, okay.
All right. And what is seen is what in Purusha Suktam, what they say, the manifest portion is only 1/4. So 3/4 of the universe is unmanifest. So you are right in a way. The darkness is the unmanifest. The light portion is the manifest.
So does it mean that equivalent to now I understand, of course, so when we are asleep, because that is unmanifest and therefore we are blissful. Is that
yes, what you have to say is, yes, there is an unmanifest portion about myself which is blissful. I am trying to know that through the Bhagavad Gita, and if I come to know that unmanifest portion of myself, I am free. I am always that.
Yeah, but during sleep time, the awareness is there. But then is it manifest or unmanifest?
See, the awareness is always manifest. It is always there. It exists. There is no manifestation, unmanifestation for awareness.
Oh, okay.
What is manifest and unmanifest is the conditions of the mind, which belong
Oh,
to me, which I am taking as my conditions.
okay.
So I have to drop that notion that it is and this is the teaching. The teaching is what I have got two nature. I am, I am the spiritual, I am the spirit behind this body. That spirit it doesn't have any conditions. It is unconditional. It is always existing. It is eternal. It is the light of consciousness. It is the knowingness in this entire universe. So I only say that manifestation, unmanifestation is for the mind only.
So in fact, we don't bother about manifest or unmanifest inside the awareness, pure consciousness. That's
Yes.
all, right?
Yes.
Okay. That means the whole cosmos itself, based on Gita, it is all infinite, and there's no manifest or unmanifest. But in the whatever scientists they were talking about, the darkness which is unmanifest is not in this teaching.
Yeah, what is the teaching is I am beyond this. I am beyond this manifest, unmanifest. I am that pure consciousness. It is not a material. Material goes into manifest, unmanifest.
Yeah, that means in fact, if we not in fact, we're supposed to believe and convince that
Yes.
whatever it is, everything is possible. That's it.
Yes, that's correct. In your intellect, you have to understand that.
Okay.
Very good.
I think today I learned a bit more. No, I learned, but today I am a bit more inside there. That I asked this question that came into my mind, and I'm like, I have been in confused mode, but then it's a bit one step ahead, but not a lot yet. Yeah, thank you.
I can understand your depth of your thought when you ask me this question. So
Okay.
I understand from where you are coming, because it's extremely deep question what you are asking. You are getting there at the same time, you're just clarifying your doubts, which is very good.
Thank you, Mr. Shaker. Appreciate. I'm blessed to be inside this. Okay, for whatever reason, I don't know why I'm in there. Real.
Okay, very
Appreciate.
Good. Yeah, Uma, you had asked a question here. Can you explain this? Can you talk on this?
Yeah, Shekhar-ji, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Because since taking this class and, I sort of realized all this, we beings are not real, we are here just to, go through the part of the karma and all that. And I've been feeling, I just don't want to be so involved in celebrations, this and that. So I sometimes feel a bit guilty because, as a family, you are even expected to feel angry, expected to rejoice, this and that. So, but hearing the class today, I feel that even this guilt is part of the mind, and I can actually drop this and just go through life that, it is expected of me. I'm in a very confused state, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. See, basically, we should understand this knowledge has to be kept inside our mind. It's a private knowledge for each one of us. When we are in the society, we have to do exactly what is required as a part of the society. If the society demands us to enjoy the Diwali or any celebration which is there,
Yes.
we are part and parcel of the society. So there is no guilt at all. We are doing a duty which is meant, it is a swadharma for the body and mind. So I follow the law of nature. I follow what is expected of me as a duty. So suppose in our waking state, we all have duties. So
Yes.
having this knowledge is an added advantage only for me because I know my nature. That's all. That gives me
Yes.
freedom. But I still do my duty. So never neglect the duty. Don't say that, okay, I will not stop celebrating festivals and all that, but that is not correct, because we should follow the society, go through the what is required as a mother, as a sister, as a that is primary for all of us. This knowledge is only an additional knowledge. It will only clear up my own mind. That's all about the wrong notion I have about myself.
Okay, Shekhar. Sometimes I feel a bit dragged into all this.
No, but that is natural, because see, what is happening is your mind is suddenly realizing that there is a lot of hollowness in our experiences.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So much of things being done also unnecessarily, I feel these days.
yeah, but you must also realize that others don't know this. So you have to
Yeah.
empathize with them and say, I will just, that is why it is called as a vesham. It is called a role.
Yes, exactly. I feel so pretentious.
Yes, it is a vesham, it is a pretension. In our worldly life, we have to pretend. It has to be a vesham. It is, nobody can escape this. We have to play the roles and then understand that I have a higher nature. That's all. Each one of us cannot drop our roles. That is what Arjuna is being taught even in the last chapter, 18th chapter. He says, the Lord Krishna says, I have taught you your spiritual nature, but go and fight. Go and fight means
Yes.
what? Go and do your duty.
Yeah.
So your swadharma, don't neglect. Go
Okay.
and okay, it is a pretension. Yes, it is a pretension, but go through the motion, knowing that it is a role. That is what is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, Shekharji. I feel better after
Yeah,
discussing this with you. Yeah.
yes, very good. These are all practical questions. When people study the Gita, like Arjuna, we all get confused. But again and again, the Lord says that this is a nature of the higher nature in you. Let it be as a pure awareness principle, but do your duty. Do your duty till the last minute of your breath. Never neglect your duties. You see, duty is, I have to earn money. I have to make sure that my family is sustained, they are happy. I have to take care of my children. My parents, yes, they have their own problems, no doubt, but I have to tolerate. I still have to tolerate. I have to have that empathy, and I should always feel, okay, they are suffering, okay, but the only thing is they don't have this knowledge. See, they don't have this knowledge, but I have this knowledge. Through some kripas, through some punyam, I am getting this knowledge. It is only a private knowledge for me to liberate my own self from this mind and my body. That's all. And as long it helps me to clear up my own mind, make my mind lighter, and claim my glory, claim my own nature, then the Bhagavad Gita has done its work. It
Okay,
says then
Shekharji.
you go and fight. You can be a very efficient person in the society with this knowledge. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Thank you, Shekharji.
thank you. Then the next question is Akshay is asking how to get liberated from three inauspiciousness, ignorance, limitation, and individuality. How to get liberated from three, yes. Now that is the teaching. The teaching is that as you learn more about this Atma, that pure awareness, consciousness, these limitations will go away. But it is it is something which will take time. You are learning it, and it takes time to absorb this. First, absorb the knowledge, then you reflect on it. When you reflect on it, some doubts will come. Let the doubts be cleared. When the doubts go away, that Atma, which is ever evident, will be shining in your own intellect, and you will say, I am that pure awareness. I have no more doubts. It's a time consuming process, and don't stop listening to the scriptures. Continue the listening. Shravanam must continue. And it is this Shravanam, this listening, which is the purification for the mind. Keep listening, reflecting. This is how the mind gets purified. And then once the mind is purified, what is already there as our nature, I myself will be able to claim it. It's nothing new which is going to happen, but you will say, I am now free. Okay, I want the link for this Wednesday class on this stotra. Want to understand, and the link for this for the Wednesday class. Okay, you can just I will send it to you. I think you may have already are you getting the Wednesday class invitations and so on?
I'm not getting, sir. I'm not joined Wednesday class.
Okay,
and I don't know about it.
Okay, I will just include you in the WhatsApp, and I will send you the link. You just I will send you the link, and then you just fill up the form. You'll get automatically connected.
Yes, thank
Excuse me, Mr. Shankar. I too need the link for Wednesday class. And Bama speaking. Bama.
Oh yeah, Bama. Yeah, I will send it to you in London. Okay, no problem.
Because my name is not at all here, sir.
Okay, I don't know why
My name is also not here.
I think I don't know why your name is not coming, but I think it's you have to do something in your laptop. You ask your daughter.
Okay.
She will put your name there. It doesn't matter. I can see you very well, and I know.
But I want to attend the Wednesday class.
Yeah, no problem. I will send you the link to Chandrarekha and Bhama. I will send you the link.
Is it the same timing?
It is at it's a half an hour later.
Okay.
It starts 6:30 Singapore time.
Okay.
And it's 8 hours behind, so it will be.
Must be 11:30 here.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will send you the link.
Right, thank you.
Okay, Chandrarik. Okay, then Paulina. Yes, thank you. With that, I think there is no more questions here. Anybody else has any other questions which you want to ask on the mic? Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll close today, and then we'll start next week with the 7th verse, and we'll see how it goes. But it'll be the most important 2 verses you have done today. Okay, thank you and good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shekharji. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you.